is a tsundere? Tsunderes are the temperamental darlings of our favorite anime, playing hard to get like a sorority girl trying to get a free drink. Our disdainful waifus are most endearing to us when their angry pouts are briefly broken by a smile that must be protected. But why? Why are we mesmerized by these adorable girls knowing full well they can and will kick our ass? To understand our love for the tsundere, we must first understand the tsundere. Using aggression or hostility to mask more tender emotions is not a new concept, and is not exclusive to anime. When I was a little girl, I was often told by my mother, if a boy picks on you, it just means he likes you. Surely this was not always true, but this planted the seed in my head that outward expression of emotion may not always be a genuine expression of emotion. The traits of a tsundere carry through to real life when women tell other women, play hard to get. Don't text back too soon, you'll seem eager. Bruises ego a bit. Dating in the real world too often equates to not letting the other person know how much you care, for fear of making yourself vulnerable or even scaring them off. Sometimes real people go further by actively antagonizing or being unkind and malicious towards the object of their affection. The base template for our 2D tsunderes. Why might one behave in this manner? Love and hate are not always mutually exclusive and opposing. In some cases, we may love certain aspects of a person while hating others. Perhaps it is not appropriate or ideal to have a crush on someone. We may hate that we cannot free ourselves from these feelings. Hatred may develop from an unrequited love affair, whether it is unrequited in our own heads or confirmed explicitly. This profound emotional dissonance can be really difficult to cope with. One may decide to lash out as they cannot deal with the conflicting emotions centered around one person. Sometimes it's not as complicated. Someone who is insecure may fear the potential of rejection and or the possibility of a romantic relationship. Perhaps one may use aggression and hostility as a mask of sorts to hide their emotions or otherwise in an attempt to push away their beloved. It's scary to be faced with feelings you are unprepared to deal with, so the tsundere, both in real life and in anime, do their best to hide their underlying fondness. This sort of masking can take different forms, but it's usually at least similar in nature. Let's examine some tsundere characters and take notes of the traits they have. First, we have the queen of tsundere, Taiga Aisaka from Toradora. She is small, angry, violent, and adorable. Taiga originally had a crush on Yusaku Kitamura, but after placing a love letter in the wrong bag, she gets tangled up with her neighbor Ryuji Takusu. Ryuji has a crush on Taiga's friend Minori, and because Ryuji is best friends with Kitamura, they decide to help each other out. Taiga treats Ryuji like a subservient, but becomes attached and protective of him. Though she treats him coldly, calling him an idiot or a dog or whatever insults come to mind in the moment. At the same time, she'll protect him from harm and break down screaming, "Ryuji is mine!" Next is Louise from Familiar of Zero. Louise is a petite girl who, while attending a magical school, summons a human boy named Saito as a familiar. Louise treats Saito as a dog and regularly abuses him despite the kindness that other mages show their familiar. On the other hand, Louise seems to crave Saito's affection and grows jealous at other women who try to come into his life and win his heart. The physical abuse is meant to be endearing. How adorable. Then there's Shannen from Shakugan no Shannen. Another character who lashes out when faced with difficult emotions. She's possessive and jealous and belittles her love interest you. Not to mention Nagi from Hayate the Combat Butler. Nagi is a spoiled little rich girl whose outrageously large inheritance makes her a target for kidnappers and potential danger. She is in love with Hayate, her bodyguard and butler. She is a short-tempered, socially impaired NEET. Because she is too immature to confess how she feels, she flip-flops between being adoring and acting coldly towards Hayate, even though he literally risks his life for her regularly. What do these girls have in common? They're all voiced by Rie Kugimiya. But aside from that, these characters take the traits of stunted emotional intelligence and amplify them. It's like a recipe. Take a cup of cute girl, or guy, I see you Vegeta. Add a dash of aggression, just a pinch of lovey-doveyness, a handful of easily avoided misunderstandings, and a teaspoon of blush you for taste. The tsundere is impossible to read. They're a conundrum. They put on an air that they cannot be impressed. And why? Love and hate are both feelings of passion. When the tsundere in the wild does not wish to feel the mushy feelings, they cannot simply stop feeling for their prey at all. So the mushy is replaced with festering hostility. There are also some more concrete psychological factors that make tsunderes the way they are. Impulsive aggression is often paired with a lack of the neurochemical serotonin, which, as it so happens, falling in love causes a decrease in this very same neurochemical. Or perhaps it can be also attributed to the frustration-aggression hypothesis by John Dollard and Neil Miller. This theory states that aggression is a result of blocking one's efforts to attain his or her goal. In this case, these Sour Patch Kids of the anime world may be frustrated at whatever obstacles are stopping senpai from noticing them. Whatever form they take, certain traits remain. The tsundere will insult, belittle, and sometimes assault the one they love. And we eat it up like a king-sized candy bar on Halloween. We love the abuse. We root for the protagonist to win over the simultaneously unpleasant but charming love interest. What is so attractive about these enigmatic heartthrobs? In 1965, Elliot Aronson and Darwin Linder proposed what they called the gain-loss theory of attraction. This theory states that a prior negative drive increases the attractiveness of an individual who has both created and reduced this drive state. Aronson and Linder tested 4 scenarios between pairs of people. 1. X acts constantly positive towards Y. 2. X acts initially positive towards Y, then gradually becomes negative. 3. X acts initially negative towards Y, then gradually becomes positive. 4. X acts constantly negative towards Y. The results showed subjects preferred the people who initially acted negative, but over the course of time acted more positively. More so than people who were constantly positive. So, basically, those who exhibited the traits of a tsundere were more positively received and attractive. The contrast between the different states makes the attention received mean more. If you're used to someone scolding you, then one day they slip and compliment you, that's going to stick with you. It is more psychologically rewarding because it feels as though it is earned. You won someone over, even if for that moment. It just doesn't mean the same coming from someone who is always complimentary of you. It extends our expectation of the seemingly cold person from someone who can only criticize us to somebody who has a softer side to them, more depth. However, in the real world, these kinds of relationships can be more tricky. It is easy for an individual to get involved with somebody who treats them badly due to poor self-esteem. And for those of us who are emotionally immature, there's a thin line between putting on a tough face and being verbally abusive. So while the science tells us it can be mentally satisfying when done right,
overkill.